Alright, we've got another project today. We're going to sand and paint the door to the rock room. Most of the reason I turned this on is so that I can video how to put the doorknob back on so I don't forget. So you've got the deadbolt, you want to put that in first. You've got the bottom half here, and that'll go on like that. There's little grooves on the deadbolt. You can kind of see where this thing is supposed to slide onto like that. And then, I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but you'll put the top piece on. Let this half circle shaped kind of pointed away from you, and you can spin this thing. Spin it like that. It hangs on like that. That goes over the top, and that little notch in the door knob. Oh shoot, never mind, this hole right here. On this side, it goes down, and you can press that little tab in that's right underneath this to put the doorknob back on. So that is going to be how we put the doorknob back on, hopefully. But now I think we'll set the camera up on a time lapse and get this thing taped and sanded, primed and painted. Alright, we got the first coat of primer on. Probably definitely gonna need a second coat. But while that's drying, we're gonna come over here and see if we can't get all this mess cleaned up, organized, and put back in here where it's all supposed to go. So we'll do another time lapse, and hopefully we don't scratch up any of our nice new paint. All right. Time for round 2 on the primer. Time to paint the door. This will actually be our second coat. I forgot to film the first one. We moved it into the garage too because it was a little less windy. There was some stuff falling down on it, but we'll throw the camera on a time lapse and get some nice paint on that door. Alright, we're going to give a little update on the garage and rock room reorganization. We've got the tool bench over here. Put a bunch of the tools that were underneath the bench in the rock room out here just so they're a little easier to see, figure out what we've got. Put the brown cabinet over here with some stuff over the top of it. It looks like we need to make a dump run here in the near future. We've got this shelf with oils and lubricants and pesticides and screws and nails and stuff down there, more organized so you can see what's on there, figure out where everything's at pretty easily, and cleared up a lot of room, which is super nice. Hung up some of the air stuff, hung up all the extension cords, got ourselves a nice little battery charging station over here, which works pretty well, and storage underneath, which is good. So that'll be nice to keep all batteries and everything organized and hopefully out of the cobwebs. We come in here, we got just about everything put back together. I guess we can start at this end. This room is shaped like a triangle, so making everything fit is a little more difficult than I would like, but we work with the space that we are able to use, and I'm not complaining one bit. But these shelves, I actually ended up cutting. There's a cut there, and there's another cut back there. Same thing on top. The ones down below are already like that, and that's mostly just for access. Take the one shelf section out, and it's a lot easier to reach back there, because when they're all the way in, you can't reach all the way into the back. And we've got a filing cabinet, can storage. I put tool, like operator manuals, and sandpaper sheets in the filing cabinet. We've got our table over here, our tumbler table, with all the tumblers and stuff on it. Right now we're only running 3 because I may or may not have ran out of stage run rock grit. So we're waiting for that to come in. And over here we've got the workbench. Now we've got full access to use the whole bench. There was a vise that was here, I took that off. It's over there on the shelf. And it's super easy to take on and off. I don't use it very often, so we'll just spend the 30 seconds per bolt to put that thing back on. And we've got a nice big bench top to work with. And on. The drill press probably won't stay there or be used there very often, because you stand here, you know, where the camera's at now is my eye level, so having to bend down and do this for an extended period of time is kind of annoying. So I usually set this old chair up and that piece of wood in between 2 buckets somewhere in this area here. I sit down and do it. And we've got more tool storage down here, freed up a lot of space, and kind of organizes everything. It's a lot easier to see. You know what's there. You don't have to go tripping over stuff to find it. More rock and tool storage down here. Super handy. This stuff just barely fits right under there. First, we've got our beer storage here. Another cabinet here with miscellaneous papers and rocks and extra parts for tumblers and other things like that in it. We've got our bookshelf over here. It's got more finished rock storage on it. Bigger rocks, littler rocks, also littler rocks in the bag. Rocks that I think are super cool and I want to keep. Sanding pads and extra chuck bits that have the Velcro thing on the bottom. And then lid storage. Some other kind of half-finished rocks for other people. And then I put up some shelves. Just old ratty plywood that we had laying around and some cheap brackets from Amazon. And obviously we're not going to be putting anything too terribly heavy up there. But it's nice to just get that stuff up and out of the way. I got the shelves just high enough to where my head can pass underneath them. It's like I said, not a whole lot of room in here to move around, so I really don't want to be walking underneath the shelf. Another little itty bitty shelf up here. It's got rock grit storage on it. Extra grit, tumbling media hiding back there. I think there might even be some borax. But that's super nice to have up and out of the way, just free up some extra space again. And then over here we've got tools hanging on the wall. These are ones that either just hang real nicely on the wall or get used pretty often. And there were a bunch more nails for hanging on this wall, but I took quite a few of them out just because they were so close together you couldn't really use them. But, and of course, here's the door. It's back on and painted. That was a fun little project, something I've actually never completed all the way through. I've sanded plenty of doors, but never took the time to paint primer and all that stuff. That was usually somebody else's job down the line. And of course we've got our windowsill rocks. This has been organized a little bit too. Other ones that I think are just real neat and super cool. But all in all, I think it turned out pretty well. I'm very happy and very thankful that I was able to do this, and thankful for the people who let me do it and who helped me do it. So it's turned out pretty well. It's a nice little area, and there's air conditioning and heating in here too. And we really like both of those things. Super cool.